verse number 1. All right. Then Elisha said, Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, Tomorrow, about this time, shall a measure of fine flour be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. Now, I told you wrong. I'm going to stop at this one verse and say something. You see, if you read the previous chapters, an enemy had surrounded their city and wouldn't let anything in or out, so they were starving of a famine. To the point, the Bible actually said this, they were making plans to eat their children. That's how bad it was. I want you to imagine the despair that they had to be in. It even said this, that you would pay like a day's wages for a little pan of dove's dung to eat. That's a bad day. Look at your neighbor and say, that's a bad day right there. I don't know if you understand Greek and Hebrew, but dove's dung is not a delicacy. I'll just say that. All right? All right? That's how bad it was. So I want you to imagine they've been in this for many days. They're seeing people in despair, starving to death. They're seeing people that are selling dove's dung and people that are making plans to eat their children. And then all of a sudden, a man of God stands up in the middle of this and says, Hear the word of the Lord. Tomorrow, about this time, you'll be able to buy flour and barley for pretty much nothing. Amen. Verse number 2, a guy pretty much had a normal response probably to a situation like that. Amen. Verse number 2, he said, bear with me, technical difficulty. I'll keep reading. But it said, Then a Lord, on whose hand the king leaned, answered the man of God and said, Behold, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? And the man of God came back and said, Behold, thou shalt see it with thine eyes, but you're not going to eat any of it. Amen. I'll just give you a suggestion here, just for point of reference. If God gives you a word, it's good practice to believe it. Amen. It's good practice to believe it. Because if you don't have faith in the Word of God, you take risk of losing it. You know, but I understand that the prophet proclaimed that by tomorrow the situation is going to be different. What if God told you with what you're facing, tomorrow everything's going to be different? How would you feel about that? Would you have faith? Would you go, I don't know, Pastor. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what's going on. But bear with me just a minute. Amen. Then the next portion of Scripture, the Bible just kind of goes outside for just a minute. Right outside the gate, if you will. And what happens next is fairly amazing. So you got a man of God speaking the word inside the city. But then outside, there are 4 figures who seemingly have no real bearing on anything. It's just 4 lepers. That's all. But these 4 lepers start saying this. Verse 3, it says, And there were 4 leprous men at the entering in of the gate, and they said one to another, Why sit we here until we die? Why are we just going to sit around until we die? Verse 4, If we say we will enter into the city, the famine's in the city, and we're going to die there. And if we sit still here, we're going to die also. It's a pretty good outlook, isn't it? Now therefore come and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. And if they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we're only going to die. What a day. What a day. You know, their whole outlook is basically, man, we're a goner either way. We're in a hopeless situation. So let me break down what they're facing here. They're basically saying we've got death chasing us. Think about this. We've got death chasing us if we sit still because we've got leprosy. We've got death that looms in the city behind us because of this siege. And there's an enemy that's surrounding us making all this, so most likely there's death looming for us if we go forward. We're in a hopeless situation. There's nothing else we can do. So I've got a choice. I can either sit here and let the inevitable happen, Or I could just look at my life and go, you know what? Rather than just sit here and do nothing, I may as well get up and do something and see if God just doesn't show up. Amen. You know what? I don't know the right thing to do, but one thing I'm going to try doing something that's unheard of. I'm not going to go backwards. I'm not going to sit still. I'm just going to march toward the enemy and just see if a miracle doesn't take place. Amen. Amen. So we have the word going forth that seems impossible. We have people that staying still seems impossible. Going forward or backwards seems impossible. But they need to do something. So my sermon for today that I want to preach to this church is going to be titled, Marching Toward a Miracle. Marching Toward a Miracle. Amen. Some of you need to do that in this service today. And we're going to talk about that in just a little while. Can we pray right now? Heavenly Father, we love you. And we are so thankful, Father, for all that you have done. God, you are awesome. You are amazing. Lord God, you've been here in great and mighty ways. And Lord, I'm asking you, Father, in the name of Jesus, God, just to have your way. Bless this people, God, in Jesus' name. Everybody said amen. You can be seated. And you can go back there and hit that. You know how to hit the title slide? I have been disconnected. It's on the stretch. Please pause for technical difficulty. Hit media shout at the bottom, and then hit the title slide. Nope, that's not it. Keep going. Little one. All right. Amen. Oh, wait on my table.
Remember I told you
it's going to sound funny. I'm not touching it. Huh? You're not touching it? That's because you gave it back to me. That's what I want. Marching toward a miracle. Good job, Stephen. Let's give Stephen a hand. And Stephen, give him a better hand than that, for goodness sake. You know, as a pastor of a church, I have seen what I would call just a paradox in the lives of people. And you don't know what a paradox is. It's pretty much just something that you kind of watch and it just doesn't make sense. Right. You understand what I'm saying? It just, you ever watch somebody or seen a situation and you thought, how did that happen? Or even better yet, why on earth would they do that? Right. You ever thought that before? If not, go to Walmart on any given day. And you can even say that. Why did they do that? Amen. Amen. It's the truth. It's the truth. So many times as a pastor, though, I witness this. People come to me, and what's going on is, and I'll fast forward through a lot of talk and a lot of conferencing and counseling, but sometimes when people begin to talk to you, none of you find people in here. This is those other people, all right? But they'll begin talking to you, and it doesn't take you very long that it is true they want different results in their life than what they have right now, but they just don't want to do anything to get it. Amen. Well, wouldn't that be a good deal right there? Hey, Pastor, here's what I'd really like to have. Everything to be better, but me doing exactly the way I'm doing right now, because I'm pretty comfortable with me. Boy, shout now. It's all downhill from here. I'm telling you, get excited now. Look out. There's an old leadership saying that's around industry and businesses, and I think it's true in just about anything in life. You've probably heard it, and you can probably quote it with me as I begin to say it. But it's that old saying, it says, if you always do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. You ever heard that before? Amen. It is a fact. And so many times it's true. Sow the same seeds, you're going to reap the same fruit. If you're planting apple seeds your entire life, don't go out tomorrow looking for oranges. It doesn't happen that way. And I don't know how many times in just dealing with people that they come to me and say, this just isn't working. And I ask, this is the inevitable question, and you that have been counseling with me, some of you have been through this, I'll open up this little trusty device right here, and I'll pull out a dated statement. Okay, on this day right here, we had this conversation, and we talked about this, and here's 5 things I gave you to do. How are you doing on those 5 things? Sometimes the response sounds like this. What are those 5 things again? Oh, you wrote that down, didn't you? I said, well, the first one was, and I'll say it, and they'll go, well, no, I think I'm doing all right with that, I think so. And I said, now, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I made the statement that when we're talking, this has happened more than once, by the way, and if some of you are in here has been through this, I'm not talking about you, don't be offended, it was those other people, all right? So, but I get in there, and we start talking about it, and we start going through those things. And I said, do you remember the last thing I said? And they go, well, to be honest with you, not really. I said, well, the last thing I said was, if you don't do these 5 things, don't come talking to me again. Because if you can't take care of the first steps, you ain't going to take the next steps. Amen. That's me pastoring 101 right there. Amen. But it's true. So after a brief conversation, we find so many times that we find the answer is no, getting counsel, yet doing the same and expecting different. And many times we chalk it up to, God just doesn't love me. God just doesn't care. And I've tried, Pastor. I've really tried. I've been out there working hard, Pastor. And I'm not really doing anything wrong. And I've told this before from the pulpit. The first sign of when somebody's really doing something wrong? When they say, I'm not doing anything wrong. Woo. It's going to get better here in about 15 minutes or so, I promise that. So I think of this situation, and I go to the 4 lepers that we just read about. And I want to talk about them a little bit. The lepers found themselves in a bad situation, and I want to look at it like this. They have an affliction behind them, if you will. So they're sitting outside the gate of the city, and they made the statement. They said, if we go backwards, the famine is in the city. There's no hope there. This to me looks like, in a way, if you want to say it, you could say that what is behind them is still chasing them, or what is behind them is coming after them. The first thing in their mind, they go, maybe we can look back to yesterday. You with me here? And we can find something good out of yesterday that would help my situation. But they look back to yesterday and find, no, yesterday was just as bad as right now. And what I've seen so many times in life is many times people, they begin to have issues living for God, serving God, or even coming to church. I'm trying to talk to everybody here. If you're serving God, this is for you. If you've never served God, if you don't know what you're doing, this is for you as well. But many times when we start reflecting on our life, we can find issue after issue that we have not dealt with the past of our life properly. There's things that are lurking there. And I don't know, we can just mention a few things. A lot of times it's a nasty divorce. A lot of times it's some hurt that's been placed on you by your parents. Sometimes it's people that have done you wrong. Sometimes it's just your dumb actions. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Sometimes, you ain't got nobody to blame, but you made some dumb decisions in your life. You got the A in that class. Amen. It happens. That's fact. But here you are, and you start looking back through it, and sometimes the pain goes away. And you think because the pain goes away, I'm healed. But you know what I found? Sometimes pain doesn't really go away. You just get used to it. And when you get used to it, you're still experiencing the same pain. You're still experiencing the same idea. It's just, you've kind of gotten used to it being there. In fact, to be honest with you, as Scott mentioned, he didn't know I was going to preach this. And Brother Adams here didn't know I was going to be preaching about miracles. You have no idea what it's like to live without it. You've never experienced wholeness, so it's unfamiliar territory to you. You've got so used to pain, this is how you live. So, like these lepers, in your mind, you're kind of going, I can't really look backwards to my life for help. There's not much left there for me. And, you've seen God do enough that quitting and going back to your old ways ain't the direction either. I mean, if anybody's in here at church saying, well, I'll just quit serving God, you know, get a moment in your right mind. You can't go back to where you came from. There's nothing back there for you. You think your situation's bad now. Try doing what you're doing now without God in your life. It ain't going to work, friend. Everybody say amen if you would. Amen. So when you look back, you realize that in all God has delivered me from, and in all that I have conquered, and all that I have defeated, somehow there's some things that have fell through the cracks of my life and of my walk with God. And there's some things that if I started tracing back that I am still hanging on to, that still have some kind of a hold on me. They make me respond to situations adversely. They make me deal with things in a way that most people do not. And, the trouble that I see with these, I'll call them past dwellers, people that are dwelling upon the past, is they accept the idea that just because they have good seasons, then those good seasons are a sign that God is healing me. And I have found a good season can mean that God still is yet not healing you. It's just merely a good season. What are you talking about, Pastor Marshall? Just because you have a run of a good time doesn't mean that your issue is gone. Because just like the past has a tendency to do, things from the past that are not properly dwelt with, they're still lurking in the city, even though you don't feel them right now. Even though you got a season that, like these lepers, they may not be hungry all the time, because if you ain't had food for a while, eventually your body gets used to it. And you can sit there and think, man, I don't feel hungry right now. But wait a minute, that family's still going on. That problem's still going on. And the family's still lurking in the city, whether you feel it or not. And I'll talk more here in just a minute. Feeling ain't everything, my friend. Just because you feel all right don't mean you are all right. Everybody say amen. Amen. They come in waves. They come in waves. The times of good times. You think moments of relief. You feel better, but in reality it doesn't take you very long to find out those moments of relief were just moments. That's all they were. You start tracing your life, and some of you have heard me say this. You start tracing your life, and you can say, I had a good moment from here to here. But then I had a bad moment, and then I had a good moment from here to here, and then I had another bad moment, and then here to here was good, and then here. And, if you narrowed your life down and looked at those good moments, you could say, I was doing better for quite a bit of time. But if you look at the whole chart, if you will, you've been declining ever since it started. Amen. It's having a deeper grip. It's sinking its teeth even further. It's getting a hold of you. And the location of these lepers in this story can tell you a lot about what they're facing, and a lot about how we end up where we are. These lepers, the Bible says, they're sitting at the gate of the city. I want you to imagine what this means. They are not protected within the walls of the city. They fear the change that is necessary to go deeper. So they stay on the outskirts, if you will. And it's hard to fix what is wrong sometimes. And I'm not really going to go all the way to fix my problems, because I've seen some ugly in me. And man, if I had to deal with all that right now, there's no way I could ever take care of it. I can see the blessing. I'm close enough that I can see God blessing. I know what the presence of God feels like. I know what's going on. Even where I'm at, on the outskirts, if you will. I can get a little bit of God. I can get a little bit of Word. I can even get a little bit of change. But the fact of the matter is, I don't even understand myself. I don't even understand what's going on with me. But I found a way that it just seems like I'm always on the outskirts, and I just can't go all in. I've never been an all in with this God stuff. People think I'm all in, but I'm really not. And the problem is, if this is where you are when the battle comes, hear what I'm about to tell you. When the battle comes, or when revival comes. Because see, here's the fact. The enemy's attacking either way. You got to understand that. If we're in a red-hot revival, and I believe we are, or if we're in the worst famine that there is, guess what? Either way, the enemy's coming. He's going to attack. And those are two things that's going to make him attack. If he sees you weak, he's going to attack. But if he sees you about to get strong, he's coming as well, my friend. So the fact of the matter is, if you're on the outskirts and the enemy's on their way, guess who the first person is to feel the attack? Guess who the first person is to fall to the weakness? Guess who the first person is to start drifting by the wayside? The person that's not in the city. The person that's on the outside of the gates, just on the outskirts. The person who said a little bit's okay with me. And a taste here and there is okay with me. And I'm okay with the good times as long as I can keep having a few good times every now and then. I'm good. I'm all right. I'll be all right. And your constant hold on the affliction of the past and fear of letting go and having God do a complete work. The fact of the matter is, you make yourself an easy target for the devil. He's looking for somebody just like you. The Bible says he's walking about seeking whom he may devour like a roaring lion. And guess what? He may devour somebody that's hanging out on the outside afraid to go all in and let God do a complete work. Some of you, the reason why you have not experienced complete healing and wholeness, as we heard about a few minutes ago, is simply because you have never allowed God to get in and do the complete work and make you whole. You've settled for better when God's got wholeness for you. Would you lift your hands to the Lord right now? God, you're doing a work. And God, you're pulling at some deep, deep roots. And I'm making some people angry because you know what? When you start plugging the deep roots, it don't feel good. It disrupts the ground around it. Outside the walls, you're the first to stumble. You're the first to be used by the enemy, and you're the first to let pain precede your victory. And if that's not enough, your current life, amen, if it's not enough to talk about the past being a problem, if you're being honest, your current life ain't that good either, is it? Amen. Your current situation ain't that great, if I'll be honest with you. You go home sometimes to problems. You walk around to issues, and you got things going on your job and in your life that just seems like there's a constant struggle and there's a constant test, and it's just difficult. And I think about the current situation of these lepers. Amen. These guys, not only are they on the outside of the gate of a city that's in a famine, but these guys had leprosy to start talking about it. They had leprosy to start with. Now, if God is using this to show you where you're at, let me tell you a little bit about leprosy. All right? Everybody back in the day, when I heard leprosy when I was a kid, that was the thing that you just fall apart and die. I mean, if you got, within a mile of a leper, you're a dead person. That's what it seemed like. Leprosy was the AIDS of the Bible day. I'll say that. It was Ebola, if you will. It was the bad deal. If somebody got leprosy, just burn them, get rid of them, do something. Send them outside the camp. There's actually Bible instructions that if they found leprosy in the house, burn the house down. If they found leprosy in the clothes, burn the clothes. I mean, they were scared to death of leprosy. But now, in common medical terms and days, we found that it's bad, but it's not incurable. It's not impossible. Actually, did you know you can take antibiotics for leprosy now? What do you think about that in just a minute? Just basic antibiotics. Amen. But here's the problem with leprosy. It's not the sores. It's not the pain. It's what makes those things happen. You see what happens with a leper? In the very beginning, a leper starts getting numb. Usually in their extremities. I want you to hear what I'm telling you. It's going to hit you here in just a minute. You start walking along, and if they got a pair of shoes on, they start walking along, and they take their shoes off, and they got a nasty blister, and they go, I didn't even know I had a problem. I wasn't aware of that. They could smash their thumb with a hammer. Amen. And they wouldn't even say all kinds of nice words and nice things. When they smash their thumb with a hammer, if they're facing leprosy, hear what I'm telling you, they might not even feel it. Matter of fact, if they got a hammer and they're using it all day long and they're falling to leprosy, they can look later and that hand is bloody and blistered, and they wouldn't even know that it's happening. And I talked to a friend of mine who was a missionary, and this is kind of gross, but that's okay. I like gross things, so let me share this with you. But he said a lot of people think leprosy just make your hands and stuff rot off because you've seen pictures of lepers with no hands and stuff like that. And he said a lot of times that's not the case. He said sometimes your limbs and stuff, they get infection and gangrene sets in, and yeah, they can just come off. He said, but I've walked through leper colonies in my nation, and I've seen that lepers will be laying there asleep, and like a rat can be chewing on their fingers, and they wouldn't even know it, wouldn't even wake up, wouldn't even roll over because they lost their ability to feel. They can't feel anything. And as the disease begins to progress, they can't feel anything. Well, let's talk about you for a minute, sir. Amen. Let's talk about you for a minute, man, because you know what? If you've been wounded and you've been damaged by your past, and all of a sudden you've been on the outskirts and your current situation's eating at you, and you got spiritual leprosy, if you will, guess what? You can mistake your numbness for healing. Amen. I don't feel it anymore, Pastor. I don't feel that the pain of the past, so maybe it's gone. Maybe it's okay. Maybe God's worked a miracle for me. No, maybe you've never dealt with it. Maybe it's not happening. The truth be known is maybe you got to the point that it's not just your pain you don't feel. You don't feel the love of God anymore. You don't feel compassion anymore. You don't feel the anointing anymore. You come to a church service and yeah, you got hands raised, but your heart's empty. You come to church and yeah, you're talking in tongues, but there is no river of living water coming from you because there's something lurking in your life that's trying to destroy you. And because you've chosen to have the inability to deal with it, what's taking place is a leprosy type spirit has set upon you, and you're walking through life empty. You're walking through life numb. You're wondering, where is God in my life? And you're thinking, I can't see Him in my present life. I can't see Him in the past. It's so bad right now, I can't even see Him in the future. Oh, God, help us today. You don't feel that. And here's the bad thing about a leper. I was talking about their feet just a minute ago. Like I said, they could be walking down a rough road, Brother Rob. They could be walking down a road that's covered in gravel, and they don't even know that road's hurting them. They'll just walk on down because their feet's gone numb. And they'll walk and they'll look back and man, it's just chewing them one side up and down the other. And they'll look back, my God, it was hurting myself. And you know what? I've seen people that get in this shape that hang on the outsides of the camp. I've seen them make choices that send them down the wrong road. And they don't even know they're getting hurt. They don't even know they're getting damaged. They don't even know how broken they are. They get down to the end of it and go, oh man, look how bad I've messed myself up. Look how broken. Look how damaged I am. And they go, well, what happened? What's going on? What took place? And so you've been hurting so many times, and you're trying to move so many times, and you find yourself trouble. So what it does to you, it just brings you complacency. If I'm going to hurt because I go forward, if I'm going to hurt because I go backwards, I'm just not going to do anything, Pastor. I'm just going to just sit. I'm just going to sit still. You know what? It's hurting. If I'm going to get hurt no matter what I do, I'm just going to hang on. I'm going to hang loose here, and just maybe God will have a chance to work with me. And you know, you're not standing still to see the glory of God. You know, Moses said that once, stand still and you'll see the glory of God. What you're doing is you're standing paralyzed, afraid to move again for fear of being hurt one more time. And you have reasoning in your mind that says this, I can't be hurt again. I can't be damaged again. So what you've done is you position yourself outside the gate and said, I'm not going backwards to deal with what happened in my past. I'm not even going to go forwards to deal with what's happening ahead. And I can't deal with where I'm at right now, so I'm just going to lay here numb. I'm just going to lay here empty. I'm just going to lay here broken and just hope God comes back when I'm still faithful, because I can't see an outlook in that. And then I start asking you, you know, in your shape, if that's where you've chosen to put yourself, why would you move? What's behind you is bad. What's with you is bad. And what's in front of you looks bad now too. The past and present has been so hurtful. You feel better off just to sit still. And people like this in this situation get in despair. A horrible place of despair. Why should I move? I can't be hurt again. If the enemy don't get me, my past will. And if they're unsuccessful, just what I deal with on a daily basis is liable to get a hold of me and just finish me off. I fear everything, so I choose not to move. You are spiritually paralyzed. And you're wondering why you feel so far from God. And we lift our hands and talk to the Lord. I feel God trying to uproot some things. I want you that are numb and broken. I want all of you in this room, everybody together, but especially you that are numb and broken. You're going to have a chance to do this because I'm asking everybody to do it. If you're in this shape, make sure you do this, but I want everybody. I want you to start to reaching your hands up in the air and do just like Samson. Lord, I need to feel your spirit one more time. God, I need to open my heart. Lord, I need you, God, to deal with me. I need you, God, to break my will. I need you, God, to break, God, what's hurting me. I need you, God, to uproot everything in me that's not like you, God. Come on, let's talk to him just a minute. We're not done, but we got to get ready for what God's getting ready to do. We're getting ready to march toward a miracle. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Amen, amen. God has a funny way of doing things. Some of you are thinking, yeah, you're just preaching this because of this and this and this and this and this or that and that and that. God gave me this message on Monday, so deal with that. You didn't even know about some of this stuff on Monday. And here I am, God's speaking right to where you're living. But let me start talking to you and try to breathe a little life in you right now. If that's you, if I just describe your situation in your life, I got some good news for you because you do have something going for you. Amen. You do have a few things that are working in your favor, and you can't see it because of the numbness right now, but you need the man of God just to point it out for just a little bit. You see the lepers, they got the famine behind them, and they got the famine in front of them, and they got the famine where they're at. But there's one thing that famine left them with. Amen. They didn't have any food, so guess what? What you have sitting outside that gate may not be much, but what you do have is 400 people sitting right there. And let me tell you something about God. When God starts seeing hungry people, God will begin to move in the lives of somebody. And I know right now, deep down inside you, you don't like your life. You don't like your situation. You don't like how it is right now. But there's something in you that said, if I could just get my hand on the presence of God, if I could just get a hold of what He's able to do and the richness and the power, I know something can be different about me, you see. You may not have much, but there's a hunger for something greater deep down inside you. And that, my friend, is going to be what lifts you up out of this thing. It may seem like part of your problem, but let me tell you, God's going to use part of your problem to bring all of your victory. That's what's about to happen. Oh, give you praise. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. spite of everything that's happened before, in spite of everything that's looking ahead of you, in spite of what you're feeling right now, in the middle of all your pain and in the depth of your past, deep down inside, God left something in you that the world has not been able to take away. He left something in you that the enemy has not been able to pull out of you. And that's just a God-given fact that I need God and I'm starving for something greater. Oh, it may be in misery and I may be numb, but one thing that disease ain't done to me, I may not be able to feel anything, but I still want to. I still need Him. I still got a desire for it. And you want to see God do great things, all you got to do is show Him a few hungry people and God's going to do something great. So with all this, you got that going for you. What do you do now? What do you do now? What's going on, Pastor? I got some hunger. I agree with you. Well, let me talk about that. See, while you're hurting, there's word going on in the city. Hallelujah. That a miracle is about to take place. Yeah, that famine seems to be impossible. But if you could just look back inside the gate of the city for just a minute, you know what you're going to see? You're going to see prophecies coming forward. Hallelujah. You're going to see that in the city, in the church, if you will, prayers are getting answered in the city. Word is going forth in the church. And God is telling everybody, get ready. There's about to be a miracle that's going to impact everyone. There's about to be a revival that's going to change it for everybody. You're not excluded. You've not been, yeah, you may be on the outskirts. Amen. But the man of God's up saying, get ready. The revival that's going to sweep the whole community is upon us. It's not just going to get you. It's going to get the enemy. It's going to get everybody. That's what's going on in the city right now. And some of you can feel it. You've been telling me, hey, Pastor, there's something different happening in this place. Some of you have been saying, Pastor, I've been here a long time. But I'm telling you, God's doing something great. You know what's happening? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The word's going forth in the city. And prayers are being answered in the city. And I'm telling somebody, as broken as you may be, line yourself up. A miracle's getting ready to happen. Why don't you praise Him right now? Hallelujah. 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 But Pastor, I felt so empty. I felt so broken and I felt so numb. How do I get to be a part of a miracle like that? If there's a prophecy going forth of that kind of miracle, how do I get to be a part of that? And I'll tell you what you got to do. You got to do something different than what you're used to. Amen. You can't get by with what you've always done. You're going to get what you always got. You got to have a little something more come alive in you. And what you got to do is you got to let that hunger come up in you, and you got to get a revelation like these lepers did. I'm stuck. I'm done. I have absolutely nothing in my life right now to work with. I don't know what to do. I can just sit here and die. Or you know what? I can let that hunger in me bring about a little bit of urgency. And I can raise up and say, you know what? It ain't going to go down like this. And yeah, I may have tried everything. But just one more time, you know what I'm going to do? Hallelujah. It don't make no sense because I failed so many times. It don't make any sense because I've been hurt so many times. But you know what? Since there's word in the city, since there's miracles in the city, and since we got a God that's able to do something, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to start marching toward my miracle. I don't feel like it. Feeling's not driving me anymore. There's hunger making passion in me. It ain't about what I feel. I'm still numb to what all God's doing. But in my heart, there's a hunger for God. And there's a God that meets hungry people not far down the road. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get up and I'm going to start walking. My legs may be hurting, but I'm going to walk a little further. Hallelujah. My past may be eating me, but you know what? I may just walk right out of what the past has done to me. Hallelujah. Oh, God's doing something in you right now. It don't make any sense. It don't seem like it's right. I got an enemy in front of me. I got a family behind me. I got things eating at me now, but you know what? I got a hunger for a miracle, and I'm going to get up and I'm marching toward a miracle. Hallelujah. I'm not going backwards to let my past embrace me again. I'm not sitting still and let my life circumstances bring me down anymore. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know this, I'm not sitting still anymore. I'm seeing the eyes of a miracle on the horizon. And if I'm going down with a fight. Devil, If you're going to find me, you ain't going to find me sitting still waiting on you. You're going to find me marching toward the enemy. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. I don't know how I'm going to face it. I don't know how I'm going to battle it. But there's one thing that I'm going to do. In the midst of my pain, in the midst of my numbness, and in the midst of my brokenness, I'm going to somehow take up a sword, if you will. I'm going to somehow get some strength in me, and I'm just going to march toward the enemy, and I'm just going to see if God might just show up. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I've been sitting outside the gate long enough. I'm going to march toward a miracle. And what you didn't know, hallelujah, your past pain seems to have more possibilities than what you're able. Your present pain seems to be more comfortable than what I'm talking about. And your paralysis is your normal response. But what you don't know, hallelujah, oh, Holy Ghost, come down like I've seen it. What you don't know, you that are in this shape, is the word has already gone forth in the city. And a miracle for somebody is on the way. And who knows, God may use little old broken you to march right up to the gigantic enemy that we face and to bring the miracle that has been prophesied into the city. So I'm telling somebody, it's time that you go against your human nature. Don't do what you've always done. In your healing, there could be hiding a city-wide miracle. I'm telling somebody, when you get up and God gets a hold of you, it may be a miracle that affects more than just you. It may be a miracle that changes everything. It may be an overnight miracle that brings life to somebody like never before. And when you get up and do something, God may use you. Hear what I'm telling you? I know I'm getting into emotion here. But when you get up, God may use you to change it for everybody. Don't back down because you stand to reap an unfamiliar harvest. I'm going to talk about this. God spoke to me and said, the problem with people is they're dealing with an unfamiliar harvest. And I began to pray about this. If it ain't got you yet, I hope and pray this does. Some of you don't know because God's expecting you to sow and reap an unfamiliar harvest. What's happening is you know your past. You know what it brings. And you know what it brings if you let it loose in your life. You know what's going to come up. You know your present. You do. You know what's happening in your present. You know what you're dealing with now. And the fact is, you know that when you get bad and things go bad, you get paralysis or you react this way or a certain way. You see, that's the fact. You know when certain seeds are active in your life, you know the harvest it brings. You know how long it takes. You know what it looks like when it's growing. You are very familiar reaping the harvest of your pain. But what you don't know is what it's like to get up in the midst of your pain and start going for something that you don't understand. So I put this picture. Hold the light out into a future that, hey, I'm walking in some uncharted ground here. You know what? I know what would happen if I let my past get a hold of me. I've been there. Hallelujah. I know what would happen if I just sit here and let my present get a hold of me. But what I don't know is if I just say, you know what, God, I'm going to do something I ain't never done before. I'm going to get up and step toward the darkness, and I'm going to march toward a miracle. That's an unfamiliar harvest to you.
Yes.
Amen. And I'm telling somebody, don't get beat down. Hear me? Holy Ghost trying to help somebody. Don't get beat up and don't get discouraged just because God is asking you to reap an unfamiliar harvest. You see, the harvest that God wants you to reap may be watered differently than anything you've ever faced at this time. And it may take a little longer than the seeds that you have sown. And it may require some actions that you are not used to. But hear me right now. Oh, Holy Ghost power. Oh, Holy Ghost power. Just because you're planting seeds right now that don't grow in the same fashion others have, that doesn't mean it did not work. And it doesn't mean that God has failed you. All it means is God is asking you, I want you to plant in an unfamiliar field because you're going to reap an unfamiliar harvest that marching forward is about to bring in your life.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah. You understand, Pastor? I know what happens when I get hurt. I know what happens when I get offended. I know what happens when I let the things of the past rule me. And I know know what happens when I just get fed up in life right now. But Pastor, I'm marching toward a miracle that I don't know how it's going to get here. I'm marching toward a miracle that I don't know how it's going to come to pass. I just know that there's been words spoken in the city that God's got something for me and I'm hungry for it. That's all I know. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know how all the details are going to get fixed. And in fact, some of the things God's asking me to do is horrifying. It's scary. I've never walked like this. But I'm telling somebody, just because you stand to reap an unfamiliar harvest doesn't mean you need to back down. Just because it looks different and it seems different and it's taking longer doesn't mean you need to lose faith. God has got you sowing some seeds that are going to bring forth a miracle. Lift your hands to the Lord. We're not done, but I want you to let God touch you. Let that sink into your life right now. Hallelujah. 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 I just preach impartation. I feel a holy unction right now. There's some of you got a call to ministry in your life, and you're looking at a future that there's no way God could ever do it. Well, I'm telling you about a man of God that stood up and in one day a miracle changed everything. I'm telling you, if God's put a call on your life, don't underestimate what He's able to bring to pass in the future. Don't underestimate what might already be working behind the scenes. You need to know this. Just because you're not used to the harvest that comes doesn't mean the harvest isn't out there, my friend. Hallelujah. Some of you have been promised things that you never dreamed would ever be back in your life or show up in your life. And you've walked very gingerly, if you will, toward these things. Pastor said, I got to pay my tithes. I'm going to pay my tithes. It's hard. It's difficult. Never done that before. Pastor said, I got to be a prayer meeting. Man, never done that. But I'm walking toward it. Pastor said, I got to be faithful to church, and I've never been able to do it. But you know what? As uncomfortable as it is. And there's been Sundays that I don't want to show up. There's been Wednesdays that I don't even feel like showing up. But you know what? They're telling me if I want my miracle, I got to do that. So I'm going to walk toward that. Now, all of a sudden, I can tell God's doing something. But God, when's it going to happen? It's just unfamiliar, friend. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I don't know if you're growing a bamboo field that might take 5 years of watering before you see a seed come through the ground. I don't know if you're growing a mushroom that just an overnight that can pop up to the ground. I don't know if you're growing an oak tree that when you put the seed in the ground, it's going to grow out to be one of the mightiest in the forest. But I know this, just because the harvest looks different doesn't mean you missed it. It doesn't mean you're out of the will of God. You're reaping something different. God has been asking you, do something different, and I'll do something different for you. And you're seeing it. It's a different kind of harvest. I'm telling somebody, don't lose faith. I don't care what kind of results you're seeing right now. Keep marching towards your miracle. It's going to happen in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
I feel Holy Ghost. Would you reach out? Amen. And just ask God, if He's not dealing with you, ask God to help those that He is dealing with. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I will not let the fear of an unfamiliar harvest drive me from my faith. No. I will not quit too soon. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And as Wayne Huntley preached it because of the time several years ago, I promise you this, when my ship comes in, I won't be sitting at the bus station. Amen. No, I'm going to be ready. I got to get this miracle. I've waited too long. I've prayed too long. And I've worked too hard. And let's just be honest about this. The enemy's just been too mean during all this.
Amen.
He's won too many victories. I don't want the final victory to be his. I want to win. I want to come to the other side of this. And he's laughed at me enough. I want to look back and laugh and say, look what the Lord has done. You thought I lost it, but I kept on marching. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. And you got to hear the outcome of this story. Just because, listen to me, just because somebody that was confused, in bad shape, just because somebody that couldn't go backwards because it was bad, couldn't sit still because it was bad, amen, couldn't go forward because it was bad, just because somebody in an impossible situation said, you know what, I'm just going to trust God.
Amen.
And I'm going to go marching toward what will have to be a miracle. Just because of that, God did something when 4 hungry people did something out of the ordinary. The Bible basically says that God amplified their footsteps. Hallelujah. Oh, hallelujah. And they went marching, 4 broken, weak lepers. went marching, probably more like limping, if you will, toward an enemy that had a whole city besieged. You got to understand that. And they go marching toward the enemy, and God, you read the story later, God amplified their footsteps to the point that the enemy thought, my God, they've got reinforcements. They brought more people in. What in the world's going on? Did you know when you don't feel like it, when you're willing to get out of the past, and you're willing to say, hey, I don't have much going on, but I'm going to march toward a miracle anyway. And what God's going to do, He's going to make you look bigger than your enemy ever imagined. He's going to make you look stronger than your enemy ever imagined. He's going to make you look more powerful. You may not think you're much right now, my friend, but let me tell you, when you get up out of that situation and say, I'm not going to sit here till I die, you may not think you're much, but your enemy's going to think you're the biggest thing he's ever faced.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And I got some good news for you. You know how the miracle came? Oh, somebody listen. Oh, Holy Ghost, let them see it, God. I feel an unction here, God. Let them see it. You know what happened? You know why? That a little thing of flour could be sown for just a little bit, and a little thing of barley could be sown for a little bit. Because you see, the enemy, when that person got up, those 4 people got up, for no reason, just said, I'm going to believe in a miracle. They took off and ran. The enemy took off and ran and left behind what they had stolen, what they had brought with them. I'm telling somebody, you got family members that have been in the hands of the enemy, and you don't know how God's going to do it. You got things, you got anointing that you feel like the enemy's took from you. You got blessings that you feel like the enemy's took from you. Well, I'm telling you, why sit you here until you die? Get up and march towards your miracle, and you're going to find a scared devil that's going to leave behind the harvest that you thought he robbed from you, that you thought he took from you. I'm telling somebody, march towards your miracle, and you may get more miracle than you ever seen. Hallelujah. Oh, can we praise Him? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. 4 lepers on the outside of the camp. Hear me? I'm almost done. 4 lepers on the outside of the camp, and a man of God on the inside of the camp saying, tomorrow a miracle's going to happen. Everything's going to turn around tomorrow. 4 lepers on the outside in the worst possible position says, you know what? I'm going to believe God's going to do something. And because 4 people that wasn't ready and wasn't put together went marching toward that, God amplified their footstep. And guess what? Hallelujah. Yeah. What the enemy left behind because of their marching brought about the word that was being preached in the city. We've been preaching about revival. What if you got up and started marching and it was your family coming in that brings the revival? What if it was your miracle that brings about the revival? What if it was those that you've been praying for on your job brings about the revival? I'm telling somebody, don't just sit there, get up and start marching towards your miracle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mighty God, can we stand on our feet, just lift our hands and just wait? I want everybody would just lift your hands and just start talking to God right now.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Listen to me. Listen to me very close. Some of you need to hear this. Just because you've been broke don't mean you're finished.
Right. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Just because you got broken don't mean it's over. I remember Brother Rod Montgomery spoke up here one day, and he said Humpty Dumpty couldn't put it back together. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again because they went to the wrong king. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Jesus is walking down the road to Emmaus, and people come up to him, and he starts preaching the word to them. They don't know who he is. They go a little bit further, and he sits down and eats with them. They don't know who he is. He starts expounding the scripture about himself. They don't know who he is. But all of a sudden, when he reaches down, and the Bible says that he broke bread, that immediately it was revealed unto them that this was Jesus. You know why? Because nobody handles broken things like your God handles broken things. When he got his hands on something broken, the people said, whoa, wait a minute. And that's him. I didn't understand him in the Word. Hallelujah. I didn't see him when he was walking. I didn't see him when he was eating. But when he got his hands on some broken things, hallelujah. Nobody handles broken things like my God does. And I'm telling somebody in the middle of your brokenness, and you don't feel like you're ready to get up and march, you know this. When God gets his hands on your brokenness, nobody can tend to that like he can. You're here. You're still hungry. You just need to get up and march towards your miracle. And some of you this resonates with, and I'm closing right now. You are the 4 lepers. Amen. And I'm going to ask you to do something. Your past is bad. Your present's not much better. Your future seems bleak. You've been hurt, you've been broken and confused. You got a long list of churches that have done you wrong. You got a long list of leadership that's hurt you. You got people that's supposed to have loved you and cared for you, and they've done you wrong. And here you are, living the life that you're living. And I'm just asking you in this little old Pentecostal church that maybe you didn't even expect to be in today, why don't you do something different? Why don't you, instead of just sitting there until you die, why don't you get up and walk down this aisle and start marching toward a miracle and see what God can do? This offer's open to anybody right now. Amen. If you want something from God, just come off marching toward your miracle. Do it with your hands raised. Do it with your voice lifted high. Let God have his way right now. Hallelujah. There's been some faith broken loose. People are coming right now. You get your hands in the air and start doing something different right now. Amen. I'm telling you, if you normally sit in your seat during the altar service, now be a good time to get up and walk. Amen. Do something different right now. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You want something different? Don't do what you've always done. Do something a little different. Hallelujah. Go marching towards your miracle right now. Won't you lift your voice and pray in the Holy Ghost right now? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. God's doing something real. He's doing something real right now. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Amen. In your spirit, I want you to see yourself walking out of your past. In your spirit, I want you to see yourself forgetting about those things that are behind you and just looking forward to what's ahead of you. Devil, you've had your way with me enough. I'm marching toward my miracle. There's an outpouring of God's power here right now. Oh, I tell you what I see. What I see, I don't see a strong people that are ready to